Hi, my name is Vanessa van Dijk, and in this video we are looking into when you should use your vitamin C serum in a skincare routine. Now this isn't as easy to answer because you have to consider so many points to understand the difference between when it is important to use it immediately after your cleansing step, as I think that this is where the confusion starts, and when it does not matter because you have to look into other things as well. So first of all, you need to understand that there is a difference between ascorbic acid, which is the pure form of vitamin C, and the vitamin C derivatives. Then you have to understand the overall formulation. Is it a water-based product, or is it an anhydrous solution, or even an oil, because then the order of application changes as well. What's the pH of your vitamin C serum, which becomes more important when working with an ascorbic acid product. And then once you understand all those different points, it will make a lot more sense when you should use it immediately after cleansing and when it's best to just adjust it depending on the overall formulation and vitamin C product that you're using. But to understand this at first, we need to look at some research, and we're going to get started with ascorbic acid, as this is the pure form of vitamin C and it is quite unstable, and this is where the confusion starts, and even where it would make a lot more sense to use it immediately after your cleanser. So let's look at it. Right here it says ascorbic acid penetrates best in an pH of 2 to 2.5. Therefore, an acidic environment is necessary. For this reason, it is optimal to use ascorbic acid after a low pH cleanser, such as a glycolic acid or salicylic acid product. It is crucial to apply it in the correct order in a regimen to ensure its stability and maximize the chance of penetration. So right here it does say, well, ascorbic acid works best apparently if it has a very low pH environment. So if you have an ascorbic acid serum, it should have, based on that, a low pH environment so that it is quite stable and that when applying it to the skin you will get most out of it. The problem is with the pH that they list right here, the 2.5, like the 2 to 2.5, is quite low, that this can be extremely irritating on the skin and no one would really tolerate it. Therefore, they're going to go with a pH that's a bit higher, but still low enough to make sure that it's quite stable and you get most out of it. And that's why that they recommend to use a real low pH cleanser before applying your low pH vitamin C serum, so that you're going to lower the pH of your skin and then you're going to apply your low pH vitamin C serum afterwards, so that you will get the maximum results. However, with the formulations that we have nowadays on the market, this can be quite confusing, and therefore it isn't as easy to say that every vitamin C serum that you find on the market should be used immediately after your cleansing step, because if you do not have a low pH cleanser, it won't matter at all. So let's look at the pH range at first, and then some real example where the low pH cleanser and your vitamin C can work in combination. So let's have a look at the pH of water. So we have neutral right here. This is 7 up to 14, which would be alkaline. And then you have up to 0, which would be acidic. Now, we have already, our skin itself has already a lower pH. So let's go with around 5-ish. This can change depending on the age as well as other factors. But let's go with 5. So basically, you can say that your skin has already a low pH. However, this isn't low enough for the vitamin C. Therefore, they recommend to use a low pH cleanser that would be around 4 or even 3, so that you can lower the pH of your skin and then apply your low pH vitamin C serum that contains ascorbic acid in this lower pH environment as well, to get most out of it. Because if you are going to use, technically speaking, a cleanser that has a pH of 7, well then it's not really going to lower the pH of your skin, and then when using ascorbic acid immediately afterwards, it wouldn't do much. You still will get some benefits, but it does not really tell you how much of it will really go through. Then you also have to understand the difference between real low pH cleansers and marketed low pH cleansers. When it comes to real low pH cleansers, I only could find 2. There are maybe other ones out there as well, but the ones that I'm aware of are 2 examples that I now want to share with you so that you understand the difference. The first one would be SkinCeuticals Glycolic Renewal Cleanser. That one is a glycolic acid cleanser. and it has a pH of 3.5. Then, with this specific cleanser, and you have an ascorbic acid serum as well with low pH, such as SkinCeuticals Vitamin C Serum, which is quite popular, well, that one has a low pH as well of 2 to 3.5. Well, then you would say, well, I'm going to use SkinCeuticals Glycolic Acid Cleanser at first, and then I'm going to follow with their Vitamin C Serum afterwards. This is basically what the study represents, and this is where it apparently says, well, this is how you can get most out of your vitamin C, because you have lowered the pH of your skin and you're going to apply a low pH ascorbic acid serum afterwards. Another example would be Face Theory's Clarifying Cleanser. They have other ones as well, but I'm going with this one as this one is quite popular. This is again a real low pH cleanser which contains AHA as well as BHA, and if you're going to scroll further down, it says it has a pH of 3.5. So again, it is a low pH cleanser. But let's look at what a marketing term of low pH cleanser would be, which isn't really a low pH cleanser. And this would be Cosrx Low pH Good Morning Cleanser. Now that one is basically just a marketing term, and they aren't wrong with how they're going to put it into marketing. It is a low pH cleanser. They do say it's a gentle gel type cleanser with a mildly acidic pH level, and it is a cleanser that's pH balanced. And usually what they're referring to is that you are ending up with a cleanser that has a pH of around a 5-ish, usually 5.5. And yes, they are correct. It is a low pH cleanser because 7 would be neutral, and then 5 is then theoretically lower than 7, and therefore it's a low pH cleanser. So yes, they aren't wrong with how they are going to present it to you, but if you're looking into a real lower pH cleanser, then this would be SkinCeuticals or Face Theory. And when it comes to low pH vitamin C serums, there are a few ones out there. One would be, as already mentioned, SkinCeuticals Vitamin C Serum, or even Paula's Choice Vitamin C Booster. It has a pH of 3, or even Geek and Gorgeous Siglo, which again is also a vitamin C serum, and it has a pH of 3.2 to 3.4. So this would be the perfect example of using a low pH cleanser at first, and then immediately afterwards use your vitamin C serum if it's going to check those specific points which are important to emphasize when doing this combination. And then this can work extremely well. The downturn is that not many people will be able to tolerate it, because the lower the pH, the more sensitivity occurs. So some people can really work with this combination. It can probably give you amazing results. But in other cases, this is just going to lead to too much redness, stinging or burning that your skin cannot tolerate it because it is too low for your skin to tolerate. And so therefore, this is where the confusion starts, to where you have to understand where it's coming from, and then how you need to put it into reality depending on the products that you're using and what your skin can handle. So let's go with more common examples of vitamin C products, and let's go with normal cleansers such as Cetaphil's Gentle Skin Cleanser or CeraVe's Foaming Facial Cleanser. Those usually have a pH balanced formulation, which would be then around 5-ish. Let's go with that specific case. Some of the cleansers can also have a much higher pH. So therefore, if you just would use your normal cleanser and then apply your vitamin C afterwards, and let's say you have a vitamin C that has a low pH and it contains ascorbic acid, it wouldn't make much difference because you're not working with a real low pH cleanser beforehand. And so then what's important to keep in mind is just order of application. So if you want to use a toner in between, well, then you would consider going with your usual cleanser, then apply your toner and then your vitamin C serum, and then continue with the rest of your skincare routine. So in that specific case, your vitamin C does not necessarily have to be the first step after your cleansing step. Now, I do want to quickly go over some of the ordinary examples, as they have a wide range of vitamin C products, and then some other examples as well. So let's go with vitamin C derivatives, because with vitamin C derivatives, what pH cleanser that you're using beforehand does not matter. So let's go with ascorbic glucoside solution. This is a stabilized vitamin C derivative, and here you can see that it has a pH of 6 to 7. So this is quite high, but again, it's stabilized. So in this specific case, it does not matter in what order you're going to use it based on, you do not have to use it immediately after cleansing. If you want to use a toner in between, if you want to use an exfoliant in between, that's completely fine, and then just move on to your vitamin C zone. Then another example would be the ascorbyl tetraazole palmitate solution, which is an oil subtilized vitamin C derivative. So in this specific case, you're dealing with a vitamin C derivative that's mixed in an oil. It does not have a pH at all because it's a water-free solution. So when should you use your oil? Well, you would use your cleanser, then your toner, maybe exfoliant, then your water-based serum, and then your oil afterwards. And then we would end up to an order of application like this, which The Ordinary also recommends when working with their products. You have at first their water-based serums, then their anhydrous solution, then their oils, then their creams, and then their suspensions. So this is the order of application that they recommend working with their products. And it makes a lot of sense, because if you have a water-based serum, use it at first, and then if the texture becomes heavier, or even if you have water-free versions, well, then use them afterwards. Then we have this one right here, where it contains ascorbic acid, the pure form of vitamin C, as well as alpha-butene. Now let's keep the focus on ascorbic acid itself, as it is a water-free stable solution. The same would apply when looking into the ordinary vitamin C suspensions. Those are water-free suspensions, and they all have no pH. So in this specific case, I'm not sure what's happening if you or if it matters at all if you're going to use a low pH cleanser beforehand and then immediately apply such a product afterwards, since it does not have a pH in the first place. So does it make a difference when using a normal cleanser, then go by your routine, follow the normal order of application, and that's it? Or do you will get more out of it when working with a low pH cleanser? Then keep the routine as simple as possible, immediately apply your ascorbic acid water-free solution afterwards, and would it then change anything about the penetration of your ascorbic acid? And will it give you more of an effectiveness than if you wouldn't do this? So this is a question that I still have, which isn't clear for me based on the formulation, as it does not have a pH at all, and they still claim that it's a stable solution. So I couldn't find any research on humans about this based on how it would behave. If you know any studies about such formulations that are water-free, I'm happy to learn about it, because this is a part that I do not really understand based on the very first research that we've done in the beginning of this video, because they were talking about water-based cleansers, water-based vitamin C serums, and then it would impact your pH, and therefore it's important. But what happens if you do not have a pH at all? So this is still questionable, where I'm not clear on what's going to happen when using it and what would be more beneficial. But then there's also another part which I do not completely understand based on research and tested on real humans, and this would be vitamin C serums such as La Roche-Posay vitamin C serum, or even Claire's vitamin C serum. They have a different strength of vitamin C. Claire's has 5%, the La Roche-Posay has 10%, but what's interesting with those vitamin C serums, those are water-based vitamin C serums. They contain both ascorbic acid, but they have a higher pH. So when applying it to the skin, we know based on the research that it has to have a low pH, and that it's best that your skin has a low pH as well, so that it can penetrate best. However, what happens with vitamin C serums like this, where they have a higher pH? How much less effective is it going to be? So let's say you have two people right here, they are looking for anti-aging benefits, or let's say two people have hyperpigmentations. One person will get a low pH cleanser with a low pH vitamin C serum, and the other person gets normal cleanser with a higher pH vitamin C serum. where would you see most improvements? Is this truly with the low pH environment, or does it really affect it in such a degree that you won't see any results at all? So this is still a question that isn't clear to me. I couldn't find it in research based on what has been tested on humans. They were always referring to a low pH environment. But we know that this then apparently is more effective, but you do not see the contrary of it. So what's going to happen if that's not the case? Do you really lose so much of the efficacy of your vitamin C? And so this is still a question that's open to me. However, nonetheless, it still won't make it any easier what combination you should do based on the skincare setup and in what order you should apply it. And so this is what I wanted to share with you, and I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did so, please don't forget to give the thumbs up as well as share it. And if you now want to learn more about skincare in general, I have several videos for you on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to link some of them at the end of this video so that you can keep on watching. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon in the next one. Happy skincaring. Bye.